Hafide and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our press conference on Programa ni Pinilan Ifamagun Guahan. At this time, I want to recognize our panel this afternoon, the Honorable Lourdes de Leon Guerrero Magahagan Guahan, Governor of Guam. We also have with us the Department of Public Health and Social Services Deputy Director, Terry Uggan, as well as Mel Mendiola, CEO and Administrator for the Guam Economic Development Authority. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and give the floor to Governor Leon Guerrero for her opening remarks.
Thank you, Crystal. Half a day and good afternoon to all of you who are physically here and also through live stream and through our Zoom. Thank you, all of you, for joining us on this, I think, very special occasion as our administration announces a major recovery initiative that will provide a fundamental boost to Guam's economy and secure a foothold in a more prosperous future. As we anticipated the end stages of the pandemic, we began working with our fiscal teams and social service administrators, as well as our federal partners and economy developers to envision Guam's gradual growth past the pandemic. The beating heart of our island, of course, is our families. The chief priority of our families is our children. In our culture and community, we know our children come first. Only when our kids are cared for, when they are being nourished in mind, body, and spirit, do we feel comfortable investing in ourselves. Today, I want to assure Guam's working families and the many working single parents that we are here to support you. Effective today, thousands of working middle-class families are now eligible for expanded childcare assistance that can cover up to 100% of monthly childcare costs. Through executive order, I established the Programa Ipinilan, Ifamaguun Guam, on March 18th. I authorized GIDA to create broad eligibility requirements to expand access to before and after school programs, extracurricular childcare providers, employer childcare programs, community care programs, and other relative programs. I authorized the Department of Public Health and Social Services to work with GIDA on this initiative and serve as program administrator. I also know the high cost of childcare has made it hard for parents, especially mothers, to work outside the home and provide for their families. This perennial challenge has led parents to drop out of the workforce entirely. Others have reduced their work hours and turned down valuable promotions. When working parents minimize their value and vitality, there are lifetime consequences on earnings, savings, and retirement. Expanding childcare eligibility is a win-win-win policy success. Parents can make viable decisions about their economic security. They can rejoin the labor force, go back to school, or start a new business. Children can have access to early education opportunities and holistic care, and they can get a quality head start in life. Childcare providers can grow their capacity, hire more staff, and serve as an essential resource in our recovery. Together, our team has strengthened the state of childcare on Guam and secured a promising path forward for working families. Our administration has invested $81.5 million in this vision. Ultimately, we hope to support over 3,000 children in this initial rollout and 2,000 more in upcoming launches. We also will work with GCC and their boot camps to create at least 400 new jobs in childcare, which will usher in a new era for this critical sector of our economy. I want to take this moment to thank the people of Guam for driving our recovery as we continue delivering relief. Thanks to GITA, Department of Public Health and Social Services, and other many childcare partners for working collaboratively to achieve this significant milestone. Undagler na Sizus Masi.
Jesus Maasi, Governor. I now want to give the floor to Public Health Deputy Director Terry Uggan.
Before I begin, I must really extend a Dankaluna Tuzusmaste to the governor and to this administration for really pushing this forward. This is a big part of Guam's initiative for recovery, and not enough can be said about the fact that we worry about our children first and foremost, not only their health, their well-being, their food, their nutrition, their school, their education, and so forth, but being able to put them in a safe place and for us to be able to return to the workforce is key. And as the governor pointed out, this is a time to stimulate economy. This is a time for couples or individuals to go back to work and be part of that team that helps heal our island. So I'm definitely so happy to be part of this and so honored to be here today. But with that said, buenas and hafide, good afternoon to our Honorable Governor Lulian Guerrero, Director of Guam Economic Development Authority, Melanie Mendiola, and to all the hardworking employees of the Department of Public Health and Social Services and GITA, and all the guests attending today. Programa Pinilan is a program to watch over the children of Guam. Through this program, thousands more Guam families are now eligible for financial support for childcare. Additionally, childcare programs to provide support through employers, nonprofit organizations, after-school care programs, community care, relative boot camps, apprenticeships will also be announced in the upcoming weeks. Affordability and access to childcare is a major challenge for many working families, and these programs will provide relief to working families, support for local businesses, and a healthy and prosperous future for Guam. Programa Pinilan is a valuable tool that empowers the working families and strengthens our workforce. It will help to jumpstart the economy. These programs will help more working parents to rejoin or stay in the workforce. Working families will have increased buying power and can shift more of their earnings to necessities and goods and services. Programa Pinilan presents a huge opportunity for us to improve existing resources, create new and innovative ways to provide care while continuing to focus on the health, safety, and well-being of our kids and families. It supports local businesses, including childcare industry. Local nonprofits will increase productivity and employment. This program also promotes sustainability and robust economy by establishing a strong foundation and supporting a workforce that will increase tax revenues. Studies have shown that the more we invest in our early education and high quality care for our children, the better their chances for healthier futures and the more that they are a productive part of our community. We are very excited to get Programa Pinilan started. I want to thank all the partners and Governor Leon Guerrero for all her support. Thank you very much. It's an exciting day.
It is.
Jesus Maasi Terry, again, that's Terry Uggan, Department of Public Health and Social Services Deputy Director, who's mainly in charge of the social services part of DPHSS. And now I would like to introduce Mel Mendiola, Guam Economic Development Authority CEO and Administrator, to give her presentation and to inform our families on Guam whether or not they're eligible for this new program.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the mic. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melanie Mendiola. I'm the administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority, and it's an honor to kick off this program in conjunction with the Department of Public Health and Social Services under the oversight of the Office of the Governor of Guam. So, Programan y Pinilan y Famagoon Guahan. So, the word Pinilan comes from the origin of the word Pinilan is Pulan, which means governor. What does it mean?
Watch over.
Watch over. And Pulan means also moon, right? So just as the moon watches over our island, Programan Pinilan is to watch over our kiddos, our Famagoon. On March 18th, 2022, so just under a month ago, Governor Leon Guerrero signed the executive order number 2022-07 to create the program, which will provide funding to further support the childcare industry. Public Health and GIDA will provide resources to create a broad number of programs to distribute 81.5 million, in addition to some standing amounts that under the CCDF program. Grant recipients will include, but are not limited to, before and after school care programs, relative care programs, extracurricular childcare providers, employer childcare assistance programs, and what we're calling our community care programs. There are 6 programs that will be launched. One will be launched, actually 2 will be launched today, and the rest will roll out over the course of the next several months. The first will be the Expanded Block Grant Program. The Expanded Block Grant Program has a targeted number of children of 3,500 kids between the ages of 13 and under, between the ages of just born and 13. Our state income limits will mirror Hawaii's. And so this is a significant change, because what it does is it increases the number of households that will be eligible for funding under this program. There's an online application for convenient access, and we're looking at same-day voucher distribution once the application is complete. That is what we're working towards. And an updated Guam state plan to ensure federal support. So what this means is that these state income limits, this rise in the state income limit was activated by the state of emergency and of course the pandemic, but will remain until 2024, at which time our state plan will be renewed. We'll be doing quite a bit of marketing for this program with Kiko the Carabao, who now apparently got married and had a couple kids since the start of the pandemic and is in need of childcare. So how much can my family get? If income eligibility requirements are met, Programa Pinilan can cover up to 100% of monthly childcare costs at a CCDF certified center for families with children ages 0 to 13 years old. Only 6% of our daycare age population, so this is the population of kids from 13 and under, age 13 and under, only 6% currently attend a CCDF eligible provider. And so we have a lot of room to grow, and we're looking to do that with all of these programs. We will have in the press kit later on a list of the income eligibility thresholds, but they're also available on the dedicated website for these programs. The process will begin with eligibility and application. So there will be some eligibility requirements similar to other programs where you'll need check stubs, et cetera. And as well as you'll need to work with your selected childcare provider, assuming that they take the voucher. The checklist is available on guamchildcare.com. Review and processing will be the front of the house. So the applications will be taken in by the team at Guam Economic Development Authority at GIDA, which is located at ITC building on the 5th floor. And then the processing will occur between GIDA as well as the Department of Public Health and Social Services. Ongoing monitoring and compliance will be done by the Department of Public Health and Social Services. And you'll utilize your voucher you'll present it to a certified CCDF provider, and you'll get access to childcare at a reduced rate, that sounds great to me. Our employer's childcare assistance, GIDA is particularly excited about this program because it offers support similar to your benefits packages that you get in your workplace, insurance, your retirement. Now you can add childcare to that. And so what the program will do, what we will do in the program is you can visit us at guamchildcare.com or contact our office, and we can have a counselor visit your office, talk to your employees about this program, the voucher program, as well as other programs, collect your qualifying documents, and be able to see this whole process through without you ever leaving your place of employment. None of these programs guarantee eligibility. However, with all of these expanded income thresholds, the expanded income threshold, we anticipate that many more families will be eligible. The community care program, which is run through the neighborhood, will support programs such as our village mayor's programs. One very soon upcoming will be the Sinahanya Summer Program. Funds can be used by residential communities to include nonprofit organizations. And we're looking at accepting online applications via the DPHSS website. Is this currently, I'm sorry, is this available yet on GuamChildcare.com? Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. We're also targeting after-school care programs. So programs held at local private schools, not already under GDOE funding. So schools can use it for example, extended care for personnel costs, facility maintenance, improvements or insurance, personal protective equipment, PPEs, cleaning and sanitation supplies and services, staff training, and professional development related to health and safety practices. Again, these are grants for after-school care at local private schools. Funding is also available for non-school providers. So these include your performing arts, your sports, martial arts, and gyms. The short name for this particular program was Karate Kids. Similar to the GITA Qualifying Certificate Community Contribution Program, GITA will be announcing this at a later date. There will be an application deadline to apply. And once applied, applications will be reviewed and awarded all in one shot. Of course, we can't have an expanded childcare industry without an increase in the number of workers in the industry. And so we're working with the Guam Community College and the University of Guam to provide boot camps and apprenticeship programs to this industry, specifically 5 4-week childcare boot camps. The boot camps will train and certify up to 200 individuals more if the demand is there to become employed at licensed facilities. The program will cover your training plus 2 months of on-the-job training. So it's free, not only to the person attaining the training, so you don't have to pay for the educational cost, but it also defrays the cost to the daycare for hiring and training you for 2 months. The relative care program is something we're particularly excited about. So as many of us on the island are familiar, not all kids fit into the box of our daycares. Some kids have special needs and require a little bit of extra care, and some kids, it's just really the most convenient thing to stay with a relative, such as a grandparent or an aunt or uncle. And then this is what we are aiming to do with the Relative Care Provider Program. What we're looking to do is certify them. So our Relative Care Program, people can become certified under the CCDF. They don't need the business license. However, they do need public health clearance. And so we're going to do what GITA and Public Health will be working towards is a fast track type of certification where we'll teach caregivers about home safety, CPR, some first aid, and other types of training over the course of about a day. And in addition, a small line of credit so that you might be able to do some minor renovations to make your home that much safer. So when you welcome your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews into your home, you'll have a nice, safe place for them to go. In addition, as a relative care provider, we will basically connect you to the voucher program such that you can accept the CCDF vouchers. So as I discussed, there's approximately there are exactly 6 different programs. These programs will not only expand our childcare workforce, it'll expand the number of providers, but the end result will be more children having safe, accessible places to be, and parents not stressing out about the cost of childcare. For more questions or for more information, you can go to GuamChildcare.com. You can also visit us you can also visit Public Health or the Guam Economic Development Authority for more information. And with that, I believe is it.
Thank you so much, Mel. We're now going to open the floor for questions from members of our media. We'll start with PDN's Jackson Stevens.
Hi, good afternoon.
afternoon. My question is, I was wondering how the initial number of 3,500 children who will be receiving assistance, how you arrived at that number? Was it based on need or current funding and resources available?
Certainly, the population of daycare aged, so the population of kids under the age of 13 is approximately 43,000 per the last census. What we are doing is there are just under 1,000 in the current voucher program. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to increase it significantly. I did want to note, there is flexibility among the programs such that if there's greater demand, so for example, if instead of 3,500 kids, there's 5,000 kids that need this program, then we can certainly shift resources from one program to the next. So there's some fluidity and flexibility with regard to the budget for each of the programs.
Thank you very much. Another question I have is for the relative care program. I saw for the GCC and UOG boot camps, there's a timeline for when people going into those programs, those 200 folks will be certified. I was wondering if there are more details you can share about the relative certification program. Is there a timeline for how long it will take for someone to get certified as a relative child care provider?
It's planned to be a less than a 1 day training to go through the actual training, but there's additional support such as there's additional support that may be required, such as outfitting your home and making sure that your place is safe. And so it's not the number of hours committed to the training so much as the number of hours of support that a relative care provider may need to be ready to accept the CCDF vouchers.
You know, just to add to that, the relative care component actually is one of the more exciting components as far as I'm concerned. And don't get me wrong, I'm concerned and interested in all of it. But for the first time, we actually can be working more and more with the grandmothers and grandfathers that are out there that for years had taken care of their nieces, their nephews, their grandkids, and so forth. So this is a real opportunity for us to be able to go in and infuse more of the early childhood development component with them. And, you know, they do so much out of love. You know, what more if they just knew that little bit more to help them to be able to provide more of that quality service. And so there's definitely a need. When you look at the numbers of children that actually are in childcare versus the numbers of children that are on Guam within the different age groups, you're really looking at more and more of these children that are actually in relative care placement. And so this is a population that may take a little bit more energy to sort of weed out and to encourage people to come on board. But once we start that, I think we're really going to have a positive outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackson. Nestor Lacanto, KUAM.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. Terry, I was going to ask that question, but it appears that you are very supportive of the relative care program. So I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure who can answer this, but I understand that, or maybe Mel can answer it, that is going to be funded through the block grants and ARP and other federal programs. So will there be continuous funding for this in the years ahead?
The funding for these programs, the programs have varying kind of expiration dates that go from now until 2024. So there is the one-time shot for many of our businesses, and we anticipate the one-time, or for many of our recipients of the grants. And so we anticipate, what we had planned was anything that was not sort of standing and renewable on an annual basis, such as the block grant program, would be for improvements, one-time improvements, capital improvements to our daycares, to our after school, as well as to get summer programs and other programs off the ground. So seed monies for childcare programs that are self-sustainable through their own mechanisms, like the tuition that you pay for your after school care programs. But the childcare development block grant is in fact a renewable annual funding source. We, depending on the demand, we can certainly request that the standing level of funding pre-pandemic be raised permanently going forward after the expiration of the one-time funding. Is there anything, did I miss anything?
You know, I will say, Nestor, and that's an excellent question. You know, you're really looking at not only a time for the island to come together and to get more people back in the workforce as we try and do a little bit more of building and boosting our economy and putting families back into a good place as far as being able to address the needs of their children without having to struggle with so many different events that are on their plate. But the idea is that the program itself under the Bureau of Childcare Services actually does receive, and it actually is an increase in funding around our mandatory category, which will allow us to maintain to a certain level continued support for our childcare facilities to include our relatives as well, our relative placements. To what degree, be honest with you, I think as things evolve, it's so important not to say this is what it's going to be and it's limited to that. Just as with COVID, we use data and science, but even with situations such as this, even with grants like this, we want to see what the response is from the community. And we really need to have our eyes on that.
All right, thank you. And second question, I think Mel, you mentioned that by raising the income limit, that it increases the number of eligible households. What percentage of that are now increased? How many more households, in other words, will be eligible as a result of the raising the income limit?
Yes, I don't have that. I don't have that information with me right now, but I can look into it, Nestor, to answer your question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nestor. Heidi, Guam Daily Post.
Thank you, Crystal. Good afternoon, everyone. So when can families start applying for these programs? Is it today?
The expanded block grant program is available today, yes. And the employer child care program, employers can start to inquire and plan to have our counselors visit them today, yes.
And also, Ms. Mel, you mentioned the expanded income eligibility. So for now, it says household size, if your monthly income is, what was that? Is 5,225. What was the original, minimum amount for a family to be eligible for this?
I don't have that. Maybe public health, our specialists in this area might be able to answer that. Just a moment, please.
Yeah, let me go ahead and reach out to, so Heidi, we're going to reach out to Heidi, okay, to answer your question.
Sure.
Right, thank you. So initially, we raised it. So for example, a household size of 2, which generally would be a single mother or a single parent with 1 child. The maximum income level at that time was 3,343.
But now
it's 5,225. Nearly double.
Nearly. In most cases, we're seeing about from 100 to a 300% income increase.
Wow, that's a significant increase. And also 81.5 million, it's a big investment. How much of that will be coming from the ARP and from other sources?
Specifically, the first program, which is the Child Care Development Block Grant, that will likely, very little of that will be coming from ARP. ARP will be more utilized to fund the additional programs such as the Bootcamp program and the training programs, the grant programs for the community cares type of programs. The block and mandatory grant programs are probably going to cover about about $34 million worth of the awards.
So I think what's happening here is that these annual block grants that we get is a substantial amount. And what we wanted to do is push that block grant out as quickly as we can. So these are your normal annual block grants that we get, and I don't know how much that is.
Normal income, actually it increased, but it used to
Yeah,
be.
it's 4 million driven. Right now, we're about 4 million per fiscal year.
Right now, it's about 12 million per fiscal year, and, but we have budgeted for this program is right around 40, a one-time shot of 40 million and ongoing increases over every fiscal year.
So I would venture to say that most of these funds are probably coming from the block grant. And moving forward, we will continue to use those block grants to sustain the program. And we can make the case to the, where's this block grant from, CDC?
The Office of Childcare.
Oh, Office of Childcare, under the Department of Health and Human Services. And so we can make the case to increase our allocation for the block grants based on history and like Terry said, data historically that we can present. Yeah. And I think they'll be very favorable because the Biden administration is really emphasizing a lot of assistance to childcare and throughout the United States. And of course, we qualify or we're eligible as a territory.
Heidi, any follow-up questions?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Going back around, Jackson, do you have any follow-up questions? Nestor, do you have any follow-up questions?
Just one. It's just kind of like for something, food for thought, maybe if the governor could address it. We mentioned here, or you mentioned here that there's a 100% child care cost will be covered. So free child care. What are your thoughts on, because child care is so fundamental to a strong economy, what are your thoughts of a way to provide free child care to all?
You know, that is the reason. So my thoughts are that it would be beneficial if we can provide childcare for all. And if there is some way that we can help subsidize even further those programs, we certainly will look at that because, as you know, Nestor, childcare is one of the biggest expenses. Some people work and they expense almost 50 to 60% of their income just in childcare. And if we can work together with the private entities also to see what we can do to make that less expensive, then of course we will work towards that. This program, though, what we did in this program is we expanded the net further in increasing the income eligibility. So as you can see, the income eligibility has substantially increased. And our reason for that is we want to spread it out into more families that can qualify. And I think we'll continue trying to do that as much as we can, as quickly as we can by working also with our federal partners to see if they can increase also the annual allocations for the child care block grant.
You know, just to add to that too, there is a really good source of feedback regarding private businesses that want to make sure that they incorporate a level of childcare into their offices. And so, you know, this has been an off and on thing, but now that the island is really in a good place as far as people returning back to work or people getting employed as more and more businesses are opening up, we find that there is even more of an interest from private businesses to put childcare into the actual setting. Now, whether that's childcare at a discounted rate or childcare that's free, that allows the employee to show up to work, to be on the premises, to be able to check their child every now and then throughout the course of the day. It's a positive outcome for the parent. It's really good for the business because it shows really good attendance and workforce development component. So it's a win-win. So it's also a shout out even for those that are listening, for those private businesses that are interested in seeing what the model looks like regarding childcare in their workplace. By all means, we will work very close with them and share some of the best practices to help them lift that up in their business.
Terry, do you know what the percentage of businesses here do provide employer-provided healthcare?
You know, no, it would be based on my experience with licensing through the years, but I'll be honest with you, it's not a huge amount. There's always been a lot of talk regarding, especially the hotel, the food and beverage industry, about bringing childcare and sort of mixing that with both the tourist children to allow tourists to go off and have their moment where their children are in good care, and then mixing that with the employees' children as well. So I do know, you know, like Hilton's had it, Pacific Islands Clubs had it, but through the years, they've kind of lost that. So the idea is for those that have had it or have a history, we want to bring that back. And for those that never did, we want to really throw it out there and let them, you know, sort of taste what it can look like as far as that win-win. It's good for our tourism. It's good for our employees that show up to work. Offhand, I don't know what that percentage is, but you know, it is a number that actually we can track and I can provide it to you.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Heidi?
Okay, this relative care program, which is, as you said, one of the most exciting programs, when can residents start applying for this program?
We're currently working on the details and we will be making subsequent announcements about all of the programs.
Yeah.
And also, since some senators are trying to push for the ending of the public health emergency, all these are not, this do not end only because only because the public health emergency ends, right?
The income threshold piece, the current income thresholds will stand regardless of whether or not there is, we are in a current state of emergency. However, there is flexibility for essential workers. So for example, if you're a nurse working at the Guam Memorial Hospital and you exceed the income limitations, because you're an essential worker during a pandemic state of emergency, you will be eligible for the reduced child care. Having said that, if the pandemic, if the state of emergency ended today and you came and applied next week and you exceed the income thresholds, then you will no longer qualify.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That rounds out our media questions. Again, this is Programan Ipanila and Ifamagun Guahan that's watching over the Children of Guam program. This was effective via the Executive Order 2022-07. For our media partners in the room, I will be sending you a press kit shortly. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please be safe. And for more information, please visit guamchildcare.com. Cisas Masi.